also to analyze data. So I hope you have clear understanding on what is methodology and what is methods. Again, methodology is the overall research process on how we can undertake research, while method is basically only how you're going, technique that you're going to use or method that you're going to use to collect and analyze data. That's all. Okay, so we move to the following slide. Same with when we do work, or same as practitioner. Methodology and practitioner is the same, because previously, before I become a lecturer, I also practiced my profession for 8 years. It is because having methodology going to give us a guidance on how we can make decisions step by step. First, for example, if I do something, some project or some research related to, for example, sustainable waste management. Therefore, I need to understand what is sustainable management and need to understand what is waste management and how these two could relate in order to solve the problem that I found out through either in reality, in the current situation, or from the things that I read, the knowledge that I read, that I gather from the literature, or literature means from journal paper or from books. Okay, so it is a guide to help you make an informed decision. So this is research methodology. So if we look into the difference of why we do research between academician and practitioner, it is not so much differences, because why we do research, no matter you are as academician or as practitioner, we do research because we want to make things better. We want to provide solution. We want to seek solution to some problem. So why problem occur? Problem occur is because changing nature of our environment and surrounding. As you can see now, we are facing the COVID-19 pandemic situation. So it's changed how our routine, it's changed how we do conference. For example, now we cannot have conference meet face by face anymore. We need to do conference virtually. How our children go to school, they cannot go to school because of the COVID. So we need to do online schooling. We need to work from home. So because things happen, it could be because of the pandemic, it could be because maybe changing government. For example, in US, of course, there are lots of things will change along the way. So because of this changing, it gives difficulties for people, for a person to adapt to these changes. So for these difficulties actually give us opportunity to find a solution. So that is why research need to be done from both perspectives, either academician and practitioner. Maybe the only a bit differences is, since academician not actively practice the profession, we gain our knowledge through reading. What can I say that it will be from the reading through the literature that we read, from the books, from journal paper, while practitioner, they get the information through the practice that they do, through on-job training. So this might have a little difference. So anyhow, however, academician is always try to, fit in, to always equip themselves with new knowledge by looking at this literature, surveying this literature, as well as try to solving a problem from the practical from the industry, for example. Okay, so basically, because of the changing of environment, so therefore it occur some situation for us to adopt to those changes. So it is worth to do research to solve that problem. So if we look from the practitioner side, it is more like usually in company or organization, which is not an higher institution, usually you will have like research and development department, which you consistently will seek knowledge to develop, to design, to enhance, to understand what customer needs, to produce new things, to innovate, to be creative. So if we can see, it's not so much differences. The key is we want to improve our situation. Okay, so both academician and practitioner, we need to prepare a report. So for academician, we prepare a report as a written published document. So we share our what we have done through, it could be through thesis or it could be through journal paper, usually through journal paper. So that is how we inform what we done to the public. Same with practitioner. Although I remember last time when I'm working, I still need to prepare a report. Although it's not being published to the public, it still need to be kept at our office. So there is research need to be, kept safe in a written document. So therefore, people can learn from whatever we have done earlier. Okay, next. If you are non-academician or not a student, you might look at this diagram as, very scary because, there is a lot of flow that you need to understand. It looks like scary, but it's not. Okay, it start like I say, it start with literature. Literature means we try to gather knowledge from the written document which published in order to identify problem, to confirm that the problem really exists. And also then we have a series of objectives to ensure that the activities that we undertake will accomplish this series of objectives before we go for data collection and data analysis. So this is how it looks like. Methodological framework from academic perspective as a whole, just to give like you a flavor on what it's like the SOP in doing research or in academic work. I think the difference is only the looking at the literature part, the theory A, the theory B, the theory C. We need to understand, we need to look at the variables from the theory, for example. Okay, so before I go further to the methods and the technique, I would like to, because I try to relate with the practitioner or industrial player about methods, technique of how you're going to collect and analyze your data. So therefore, it comes to the first step, which is to understand what is data. So data is actually a useful information that you collect to support organizational decision making and to prepare or plan a strategy. So data basically is a raw material. So according to, this is what definition I take from CQL USA agency. Okay, so why data is important? Okay. Why data is important? Because like I said earlier, because changing of environment, therefore there are a challenge for people to adapt to those changes. So it gives opportunity for you to provide a solution for people easy adapt to those challenges. Okay, so it is to solve problem. And also for practitioner, usually we need data. Data is important because we want to look back what have been made earlier. So what can we plan for the future? It helps us to make a decision, to make sure that the continuity of your business and organization, to make sure, to ensure that your company or your organization can expand, expand, making profit. And also the important is to back up your argument. That's mean either maybe you want to prepare a budget for next year. Therefore, you need to look what happened this year when pandemic strike our country and globally. So what is happening, what is changing on our data, our resources. So by having this data will back up your argument during your presentation. You having those statistics to help you predict and plan for the future. So it helps you also to utilize your resources or your organizational resources. And as well, having data also, you can make use of having strategic approach, either scientific or systematic. For this afternoon topic, I'm only will be covering two types of data. It's just quantitative and qualitative. But I know as a technical body like the NB, electrical technical body in Malaysia, technical organization, maybe usually your company or your organization use different type of data, maybe experiment, simulation, I don't know. There are lots of scientific approach into it. So the key is, when I say scientific, is actually the protocol or the SOP that you need, the process that you need to understand in order to cook your data. To cook means to analyze the data. Okay. So before, okay, example, I'm taking this from Management Information System textbook. So for example, problem solving. So because like I say, it's always because of the problem. So for example, the problem is, what if a global organization have fragmented system, or you do not have online system before COVID? So what's going to happen? Now you need to provide a platform for your staff or your workers can discuss online, can have meeting online. You need to integrate all the systems. So this is in order to come into solution, some research early work need to be undertaken. Okay, so if you look at the data cycle, it start with, in general, it have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, there's a lot of, usually it can be 4 or 6, something like that. Okay, so it start with data collection. How are you going to collect your data? Who is your participant? Who is your respondent? Are you going to, collect real-time data? Are you going to use big data, from social media, for example? So it is the data collection process. Okay, so data collection require, data collection. How are you going to key in your data entry, and where are you going to, there is storage. Okay, so there is first data collection, and second is data access. Who will have can access to those data, will be some person, or superior officer. You must be clear on this. Who going to have the access to the data? Who can use the data? For example, if you collect the data from your customer, can you give or disseminate the data or pass the data to third party? So you need to look back at your ethical terms and conditions, for example. So then we look at the storage. Well, where are you going to store your data? If it's too many data, a vast amount of data, and it's have many person or many parties need to contribute to the data collection, what do you need, a software or not, for example, a system or not, to integrate all this data? So that is storage. And the transferring of data, going to pass to the third party or to your, for example, TNB have subsidiary company, and then before you finally, maybe for the old data, you want to delete it or destruct the data, because we cannot keep the data maybe more than how many years, for example. Okay, so that is the data cycle. So from the data to the knowledge. So like I said, data is raw. So before you cook it, we call it data. After we cook it, that means after we analyze it, it becomes knowledge or information. So knowledge is a firm or organizational asset. It's organization asset. So it is intangible. It's information. It's required resources. It can be shared through networks. And also it has different forms. For example, we have explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge. Explicit means the data that's being properly documented, while tacit knowledge is the data residing in mind of your staff. That means through experience, they have this knowledge. Your staff, your officer have this knowledge through experience while we do their job, like on-job training. So it's called tacit knowledge. It's not properly documented, but since the person have years of experience doing something, so he or she might be more, knowledgeable or skillful compared to maybe fresh graduate, for example. Okay, so you need to have follow procedure and knowing why things happen. So this is different form of knowledge. Okay, so then we go to, after you understand what is data and what is information, then I will explain about the type of data. So basically, I am only discussing 2 types of data. So basically, data is, in principle, is set of value, regardless of either it's qualitative or quantitative, okay, variables. So it is raw. It is unprocessed yet. Later, it will undergo processes, organized, structured, and presented in a given context and make it useful and it's become information and it's become knowledge, either you publish or not. So it's not published, that means you keep it to your company only. If it's published, you are sharing to the public. Okay, so fundamental of differences between two types of data, quantitative and qualitative. I will further explain in the next slide. Okay, so quantitative is quite straight to the point because it is actually related to fact and figure. So if the problem that you try to solve, you identify, you remember earlier I explained about we try to solve some problems. So therefore, you need to bear in mind or need to think that, okay, this is my problem. So how I'm going to solve my problem? If the potential solution to my problem is something need to be counted or measured or validate or maybe simulation or experiment. So therefore, it is objective measure. So therefore, this type of data falls under quantitative group of data. Okay, because it can be scientifically proven. When I say measured, calculated, validated, that means you are using statistical formula. So it is scientifically proven. And if you use experiment, it's also scientifically proven. While on the other hand, if your problem in order to solve your problem, you need to understand why is this happening. Why you need to explore some situation because some information because it is new to you. You don't know, COVID-19 is not happening before. So you don't understand what is the problem, why people, I don't know, maybe why people feel hard or not really involve or participate during virtual conference, for example. So you need to understand their experience on something. So exploring, examining, understanding in-depth situation, this is subjective measure of data. So therefore, it is qualitative group type of data. So I hope you are clear what is quantitative and what is qualitative. So it is very clear to look between how to differentiate between these two. If you can count, if you want to measure, it is quantity. If it's to understand why, to explore why things happen, it is qualitative. Okay, so that is two types of data. Okay, so I'm giving example, same situation. So you want to study about customer satisfaction, or your problem is about customer satisfaction. So if you're going to measure customer satisfaction level, is it going to be quantitative data that you needed or qualitative data that you needed? Because the underlying there, that means that is your key idea. So if it's to measure satisfaction level, that means you need quantitative data. You need to quantify either they are dissatisfied or satisfied, okay? Like using Likert scale of 5, maybe Likert scale of 7. So you need to measure customer level satisfaction. That means you're going to need a quantitative type of data. While if you try to understand why those complaints keep appearing, okay, you need to understand why this customer always come to you and complain about the same things. Your company thought you already solve it. Okay, if it needs to be the reason why such complaints are made, so that's mean you actually needed qualitative data to solve your problem. Okay. Next. Okay, I hope you already understand what is data, what is knowledge, and the type of data. Basically, we'll discuss only two types, which is quantitative and qualitative. And okay, how to collect data? If quantitative data, usually we deploy questionnaire survey, and if qualitative in principle, quantitative use questionnaire survey. Qualitative data use interview technique. Okay, interview technique. So questionnaire survey is this one. This one is close-ended. What does it mean? So the nature, why is it important for us to understand this definition? Because this is only the thing that we can make people understand. Okay, you see why questionnaire? Why it's close-ended? Because it has the answer already being provided. So the answer is there, it's given to you, it's given to the respondent. So it is close-ended. You need to choose between the fixed alternative. So it can be, you know, A, B, C, or multiple choice, or Likert scale. So whatever the answer is already provided, it is quantitative or questionnaire survey. While interview, it's open-ended. That means the answer is not being provided. You only give them a series of questions. Of course, the series of questions will guide the person or the participant to answer, to, you know, to follow your story, to follow what you need, you want, you seek, you try to seek. However, there is no answer given, provided by you. So therefore, it gives room, when participants give their opinion on something, it gives room for you to discover something new, something you not gain from your search, first search on knowledge. For example, by reading the literature, reading the theory, gather from the theory, you have other than that. So it gives opportunity to discover something new by having this interview question or open-ended type of data collection. So data sampling. So that is quantitative and qualitative. Either you can use interview and also questionnaire. While data sampling, on the other hand, after you decide you identify your problem and you decide whether it's going to be quantitative data or qualitative data, then you need to look at what will be the sampling for my data. If it's quantitative data, I need to identify the population, because I need to choose a sample which represent that population. So you need to select a sample from the identified population. So usually we have like, sometimes you know the number of the population, sometimes it's not. There are calculation on that. There are, table to calculate how many sampling for how many population. Okay, I'm not going to discuss further on that. Okay, so if you look at, on the other hand, qualitative data also, okay, so like it is more or less, it is similar actually, because you identify a population. That means you identify a population that can represent the problem that you try to solve. Okay, same goes with qualitative data. When you choose a participant to collect your data, you need to look at their specific criteria. So this criteria can be looking at their specific characteristic. What is their characteristic? Are you looking at the maybe in Malaysia we call B40. B40 is below 40 income. Okay, below 40 income. So maybe you want to look at below 40 income, but in urban, in the city area, in urban area. So you want to seek information from urban poor people. So the specific knowledge that they have, the specific experience that they go through. So why you need to clarify all this information, because the robustness of your data that you collect will depend on this richness of your participant. If you specify enough your selection of sample, either quality or quantity, it will give richness to your data. So therefore, your result will become more robust. Okay. Okay, so I'm just go through or giving you some example of after sampling, we go to analysis. Okay, so this is example of quantitative method. This is example of quantitative method data collection. Okay, questionnaire. So what type of question? You can have Likert scale question, either 3 Likert scale, 5 scale, or 7 scale. Maybe agree, disagree, agree, neutral, disagree, or satisfy, not sure, and dissatisfied. Or you can end up to 7 Likert scale. A bit agree, most agree, for example, like that. So that is called Likert scale. Or you can have questionnaire not only on Likert scale question. You can have also close-ended questionnaire by having yes or no, true or false, and also multiple choices of answer. Or you look at ranking. Maybe you give questions, so you want to ask them about ranking in order. which brand come first. Okay, that is also, or maybe it can be a checklist. That is also whatever answer. The key is whatever answer already provided, that is quantitative data because it's close ended. If it's not provided, it's qualitative data. Okay. So how you phrase the question, the sequence. So you need to make sure your questionnaire is following the sequence, which start first, which coming later. It must have a good storyline. And then the response rate, how are you going to get a good response rate? How many people return your questionnaire, for example? So this is things that you need to aware when you collect your data. Okay. And also this is, then we move, after we collect, we actually analyze our data. So summarizing numerical data in quantitative is actually looking at the mean, the average of set of data, the median, the mode, and also other complex statistical formula like standard deviation, Kurzweil-Wallis, Spearman, inferential method, correlation. So there are some is very descriptive, it's just summary. Some of that may be very technical. They have different formulas, statistical formulas. So you need to understand. You need, if you want to know more, then you need to learn more lah, because this is just like give you a brief exposure on data in general. Okay, I will not go in detail about this. Okay, then we go to examples of qualitative data. This one I can, further explain with you because I'm a qualitative expert rather than quanti, but I do quantitative in general because, you need to know in general. You cannot be an expert without knowing something else, okay? So example of qualitative data can be interview transcript, field note, observation, like I say. Observation, if you count, you observe, and you tick the checklist, the observation become quanti. So, but on the other hand, if you do observation, you run observation, but you jot down, you write down whatever you observe into statement, okay, into jotting down notes. So that observation falls under qualitative data. And others like picture, customer complaint, video, document. So any data that you collect, you cannot measure and cannot put statistical formula on it. It's very subjective. It needs somebody to interpret the data. When I say somebody, that means human or people. So therefore, it is qualitative data. So it's not that it's you cannot look at qualitative as weak data, because some like the example I give you earlier, some problem you can understand or you can solve using quantification. Some you need to seek the understanding on why, the reasoning why. So that must be qualitative data. It's not the qualitative data is weak. It will become weak if you're not following the procedure. Because sometimes people thought qualitative as easy as you interview people and you summarize and you conclude. So that is totally weak. Like if you go through the slide that I've shared earlier, it's like you need to know your sample, you need to make sure qualitative data is the data that can suit your problem solution, problem solving. So it do have procedures. So those procedures actually replace formula, statistical formula. So we do have SOP, we do have protocol, but our protocol is not statistical formula. So if you fail to show the protocol, because the transparency of the process is very crucial for people, for academic research as well as work report. Because if it's not transparent, people will fail to understand why you just simply choose the sample, why you simply want to interview, what is the steps, who are the stakeholders. So that is why it is important to follow the approach, follow the SOP. That is the layman talk, but in academic we call it, in methodology we call it follow the procedure or follow the protocol. So because and I believe when you work as well, you need to follow protocol of your work, follow protocol in your production line. Okay, anything we do, if it have protocol, so easy for us to replicate things, easy for us to learn from whatever have been done. Okay, so that is the key. Okay, so Now I'm sharing with you how to analyze the qualitative data. So this is like very brief, okay? If from public term, maybe layman term, I will call it like filtering, how you filter the data. But in methodology term or methods term is called how you can do the winnowing process from the raw data. Winnowing, in Malay is like menampi padi lah. How you winnowing the data? You may like first round you go look, seek information from the first round, and then second round, and then third round. It's not that easily you look at your data and you got the information. So this is called the winnowing process. And how this winnowing process can be done? Okay, in basic principle, it can be done using content analysis. So how are you going to analyze this qualitative data? We analyze the content. To have this content analysis, to analyze your data, you must first need to transform your data into a written document. For example, if you interview people, if you interview your participant, you need to transcribe your interview transcript into a written document. So it's called a transcript. So from that transcript, then only we can highlight which one is important. We highlight the statement, we highlight the quotation. So this is only it's become written document, then only we can undertake content analysis. So basically content analysis can be done with two approach, either word-based or code-based approach. Word-based means you are looking at a particular word, you are seeking a particular word inside your written document. When I say written document, that means it can be interview, it can be document, you are reviewing lots of document, maybe blueprint or whatsoever, maybe policy, maybe customer complaint. So if you're looking at a particular word appear on those documents, maybe customer complaint, this is bad, I have water disruption. You want to find a word, water disruption, at the exact word. So that is code-based approach. While if you're looking at some statement, a series of like sentence or paragraph, so that is called code-based. So word is looking at a particular word, while code-based is looking at particular, some sentence or paragraph to seek for a statement. Together with several analytical strategies, I will explain in the next slide. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So I take this from Lippendorf 2004. He wrote this book of content analysis. So, for example, if this, it could be your document. If this is your document, it could be your interview or customer complaint or other document that you try to analyze the content. So this is how it looks like. You actually highlighted the content, either the sentence or the paragraph. So highlighted the text that provide the info and assign it as a code, C-O-D-E. It's like coding. It's like copy-paste, highlighting. But in method term, it's called code-based approach. You identify the code. You do the coding in order to identify the code. It's called code-based approach. So for example, if I put my, if I arrange my data in table like this, which is I do it manually like this in this table, it could be in Excel or Microsoft Word. Just imagine if you like having 100 of participants or 100 or 1,000 of customer complaint. Is it possible for you to do manually? I don't think so. Okay, so it is always good to have a software to help you manage and analyze data. So same goes with quantitative. Also have quantitative definitely have a software. Qualitative also have a software. So for example, we have NVivo, so or Atlasti. So definitely software will make you more efficient and become more smarter researcher compared if you do not have a software. So for example, this is what it looks like if I do it manually. I put the interview statement 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it will be a very long table. So if we do it manual using a software and aided tool, a software as an aided tool, therefore it helps you save time. So data display. So I said the 5 analytical strategy: reduce information from the vast amount of data. You are trying to reduce information. You identify the code. You relate some code, become category. So this is all the 5 analytical strategies. Okay, and you want to compare. Okay, you need to compare. Maybe like this, very simple. You compare between your participants. What if you have different stakeholder, company A, company B, company C, or maybe you have different stakeholder, customer in the urban area, customer in the rural area. So you have different sets of table. So how are you going to manage and arrange? You need to look at differences of information provided or given by this participant. You need to look at similarities and differences. You need to understand why. Okay, look at similarities and differences. Okay, this is just example. If this is customer complaint, I taking somewhere from the internet. So maybe this is the customer complaint. So therefore, this is what you're going to find out, the quotation. Okay, hard to find right complaint procedure, uncertain. So this is example. So if you have like 1,000, I'm not talking about single researcher. If single researcher, definitely you cannot have 1,000 participants or even 100. For single researcher, it's up to 50 to 60 participants only. But for organizational, you might have more than 50 and 60 participants. Okay, for single researcher, it can be ranged between. It depends, but maximum is 50 to 60. But for individual, for organization data collection, it could be more than that. So comparison between manual and content analysis. So this is to show you some example. This is a summary analysis done using NVivo software. So if I do it manually, it will give me hard time to put it in table and to look at the summary of the things that I already coded earlier. And if I do it using a software, this table can be automated. So I can chunk my result into different section. Okay, and finally, when it relate with data collection, we need to bear in mind there must be ethical consideration you need to understand. Okay, for data collection in academic, we already discussed from pattern 2002. It's about exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, assessment of risk, confidentiality of the data, informed consent form. You need to make sure, like for example, if I call TNB to report on something and then the tele call said this complaint has been recorded for training purposes, for example. So that is like kind of informed consent. You need to make sure people click and agree to be the data that they give will be used. And then the data access and ownership, this is all actually has been discussed in the data cycle phase, this is, I just take example from the NB website, the personal data protection policy. So I believe every organization have their own personal data protection policy. So in Malaysia, we have my PDPA, for example. So if you want to collect data, either for your organization or either for your own research, you need to give this consent form to your participant of your respondent to make sure that they're aware of what they are dealing with and they're aware how they're being, their identity or not to be revealed to other party or not to the pass to other party, for example. Okay. I think that's all. I'm sharing the books that so far that I have published, all related to methodology, research methods, more on qualitative research. And if you want to know more about myself and want to know more the tips on research method, you can go to my social media platform, either on YouTube channel or either on my Facebook as well as my IG. I think that's all. Thank you very much. So maybe I can look at chatting if there are any question. Okay. Okay, there is any sound. Okay. That is okay, non-Malaysian participant. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Abdul Ghaffar. B40 is used for lower income group. I believe the issue of R&D is just a question or sharing. Okay, I don't see any typical industrial research involve dollar and cents. That's correct because as industry we need to act fast because we cannot wait very long because we need to act fast, we need to solve problem fast, otherwise we will be at loss, okay? Is there specific methodology to translate data, risk, and monetary value? Wow. I think that one will be, I'm not discussing here. I'm not sure about risk and monetary value, so therefore I could not give my opinion on it because I'm not an expert. But I think, like I say, I believe must be, for example, maybe in production line, you have that Six Sigma approach. So therefore, maybe you use QKM approach, Six Sigma approach. So maybe inside those approach have include risk and monetary value. Not sure. In qualitative data from Institusi Ramadhani, in qualitative data, how we prioritize findings among teams, especially when we found linkage in those. Okay. After you collect data, you analyze, and then you have this result from your interview transcript, for example. So you have this result. You need to transform those results into your findings. That means, for example, you try to propose customer complaint flow chart, for example. You are trying to solve a customer complaint because they think customer always complain, it is very hard to complain to your company, for example. Therefore, you try to propose a customer complaint flow chart, for example, okay? So therefore, when you collect a data, either interview or, okay, if you collect qualitative data, you analyze the data, you need to transform the result into the flow chart. How you need to think, you need to transform, that means transfer how the result can be transformed into the flow chart, from what component, it start with what. So that is, then only people can refer to your result as a finding. Otherwise, it become as alone, it's not, the result is not complete yet without transforming it into some platform or some, like flowchart or model or guideline that people can really understand and refer. So therefore, the themes become the finding when you transform your result into a meaningful finding. Okay. After hearing this, rasa lagi tak berani nak go for PhD. Tak payah, it's okay. PhD tak susah pun. It's not that hard to do PhD because I am from industry. I'm not an academician. I'm not a lecturer before I did my PhD. So I found that it's not that scary as long as you understand the process. It starts with identifying the problem, expecting what you're trying to solve. Therefore, you need to prove your proposed solution, it is something worth to do and has high rate of success. Therefore, you need to prove it through data collection and data collection and analysis. That's all. Okay, it's not that hard actually. When you know the stage or the cycle of the research work or PhD work. Dr. Farhan asks, can we analyze issues and challenge from participant experience and build solution from that? Yes, of course. If it's related purely in academic work or for PhD student, why you need to refer to the theory? Because you don't have knowledge before this. So when you read literature, either from journal paper or from books, you try to understand the theory. So for example, sustainable development, there are 17 goals under SDG. So if you do not seek knowledge from the literature, from the theory, you don't have knowledge. What are the things that appropriate to solve your problem? So actually, literature or theory providing us knowledge, because before this we don't have knowledge. We do not have deep knowledge about some area of study. So therefore, by reading more journal paper, more book, it gives us deep understanding of our knowledge. That is why we need to refer because to make sure that what we understand is the same with other people understanding. Okay, I think that's all. Okay, any question from the crowd that I may answer?
Last question, Doctor.
Okay.
From Puan Amanina, how long did you wait while being industry until you jump into research? She planning on it soon. Anything that should she prepare?
Should prepare. It doesn't matter how long you wait. Like for myself, it is totally different because I am being I'm changing work from from practitioner, from valuation officer. I'm changing work and accepting lecturer position. So therefore, at that point of time, I need to have PhD. Otherwise, I can be a lecturer anymore because higher education need a PhD holder. So I don't have choice. So if I think to answer to that is, once you have set your mind to embark on PhD journey, that means you are telling yourself, look, you need to be prepared mentally and physically, need to fit yourself, need to warn yourself, need to prepare yourself before you embark to the PhD journey. So it's not about how many times should you wait. It's about, are you ready or not? If you're ready now, do now. But if you want to do it, don't wait. Just do it. Okay, just do it. Provided you need to tell yourself, look, it's not going to be easy because this is a new thing to me. There's a lot of things that I do not understand and I need to learn. I need to learn how to do literature. I need to learn how to collect data, how to use the software. There are lots of things that not related to my, work experience. Okay, so that is the things that you need to prepare yourself. Salam Doctor, I would like to get advice. Any major difference when you do research in academic side and in company? Of course, the major difference is, I think if you work, it's more on problem solving and it needs to be tackled right away because it involves money. Compared to academician, usually they have this literature part. So as academician, we also have different approach of handling our research work. Sometimes we do research work, sometimes we do consultation work. So if it's consultation work, therefore it's more like problem solving. Okay, thank you very much. How long got data? It depends. It could be usually like between 2 to 3 months. Okay, I think that's all. Anis, thank you very much for having me here. I hope you get some information that you can bring back to yourself. Anis? Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor, for the great presentation. As the saying goes, to every beginning, there's an ending. This session is recorded and we will post this video in our YouTube channel for everyone to listen and share with whoever who cannot join our today's session. And now our session has come to its end. Now that we have learned about research methodology, I believe Doctor had shared some of the information that can be used for your decision making and in your day-to-day life. Once again, thank you, Doctor. Thank you, everyone, for gracing our ceremony with your presence. We truly appreciate it. After this, we're going to have a coffee talk session at Cendekia Cafe at 4 p.m. with CEO of company, Carpedia. I'm so sorry about that. On behalf of Iclad committees, I would like to apologize if we have done any mistake throughout this session. I will end my duty as moderator for today's event with Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.